You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, students at Missouri Southern get hands-on experience with a 300-piece West African art collection.
Also, the search for an Arkansas teen continues.
And we've got clear skies to start the day. Could get a few pop-up storms out there. Still dealing with dangerous heat as well. Look at your forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. Just after 7 a.m. now on this Monday, August the 18th. Happy Monday to everybody.
Yes.
Lots of kids getting ready to either go back to school today or a lot of districts starting back this week. And as you head back to school, something new on display at Missouri Southern.
Well, Missouri Southern has adopted a West African theme for its international studies majors this semester.
And curators tell us students will have the opportunity to learn not only useful facts about the campus art museum, but also learn to connect with what they call one of the most vibrant regions in the world.
KOAM's Lonnie Walton has the story.
Learn a lot about collection care, preservation.
Professor Christina Bentley is an art teacher at MSSU. She says international studies this semester will get a taste of West African culture. Bentley says the objects in this Cregan gallery are one of a kind.
Half of those objects were donated by the Finley family, and we also have objects that were donated by Marianne Keown, who was a missionary in Africa.
Bentley says this 300-piece artwork represents all kinds of occupations within Africa.
African figures in power, and that, I would say most of them start here and they end over in that section of the gallery. And then we've got female medical missionaries in West Africa.
These objects can't be left unkept.
Very careful, and the collections, we have humidity, temperature regulators. For example, in this space, we actually have like insect traps up where we're trying to monitor the humidity as best as we can in this space. Even though it's a temporary show, it still is not great for the objects to be exposed to high levels of humidity too long.
And high school students who visit will get a similar experience.
Do a collection care report on 2 objects. So they learn about the object, they learn about the collection.
It won't be long before students and the community will start building their knowledge of this year's theme culture. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Well, the West African culture class will feature a guest lecturer this semester.
You can find more information by checking it out online.
Absolutely.
A very cool collection indeed. It's great to be able to bring things like that
really is.
here to the 4 states. And I wish I could bring, the 70s to the 4 states. And while that's what we're experiencing this morning, it's not going to stay in the 70s later today. Quick look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear, which is nice. Unfortunately, though, it is a bit on the hot side. Well, it's not hot yet, but it's very warm for this time of year. It will be very hot later today. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good as well. Our heat advisories, the remaining ones that are in effect, will continue through 8 o'clock this evening. Then these will expire. And even if you're not under a heat advisory today, doesn't mean that the heat's going to be any less dangerous. We're still looking at heat index values across the board up to at least 105. And for some of our western counties, maybe a degree or 2 higher than that. So still make sure you're taking precautions, especially those of you kids are back in school. You got to make sure they're staying safe as well. By noon, we're looking at partly cloudy to mostly clear to partly cloudy skies rather. And then between 2 and 6 could get an isolated pop-up storm or 2. Really could get them just about anywhere, but slightly better chances along and east of I-49 as we head into the afternoon and early evening hours. 75 in Joplin right now. See, it's 76 in Pittsburgh. So again, a well above average start to the day. Temperatures across the region. Some of us are closer to normal. Sedan, for example, the cool spot there, it's 71. Fort Scott, the warmer spot, already up to 78 this morning. Most of us hovering right about the mid 70s. Into the afternoon we go, or through the morning rather, we go mid 80s by 9, mid 90s by noon, and we'll go into the upper 90s near 100 for our highs. And again, isolated pop-up storm or 2 possible between 2 and 6. Southwest breeze 5 to 10. And we do have an interesting situation kind of developing with rain chances tomorrow. And it's one of those things where it could be right, it could be wrong. And we're going to break down what we're looking at and why, at least right now, we don't have rain chances overnight tonight here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks. Well, the Kid City Museum in Joplin held their back-to-school event over the weekend. The museum just opened a few weeks ago, and the museum is an indoor playground that has STEM activities for kids. The big activity for the event was slime making.
Actually been really great. We've had a good turnout and a lot of support from the community.
I think it's important to get to know our business neighbors, and I came in here a couple weeks ago to see what Kid City Museum was about and got to know the owners and wanted to join the fun.
Well, teachers were able to get in for free with a photo ID. And of course, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can always download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, in Arkansas, authorities are searching for a missing teen from Bradford. 17-year-old Hannah Osborne has been missing for days, and her parents are desperate for answers. Autumn Foltz has the latest.
She's beautiful. She's caring. She's got a big heart. Just beautiful on the inside and out.
Wesley and Crystal Osborne say their daughter, Hannah, is a smart girl with a wild spirit, and they desperately miss her.
She's a great person.
We just want our daughter back.
We would like to have her back home, but most importantly, I just need to know she's alive and okay.
Hannah was last seen around 7:40 Saturday night at her father's home near County Road 7. Wesley says she's constantly active on Snapchat, and that worries him.
She's had problems with being on that Snapchat and meeting people out of town and things, but Hannah has always came home. There were some vehicles spotted on my road that, about the time that she left, that leads me to believe there might be some foul play, some drug activity around my neighborhood.
The family isn't sure which vehicle Hannah got into, if she did at all. They're just trying to follow up on all the leads. It's a process Colleen Nick with the Morgan Nick Foundation knows all too well. Her daughter was abducted in 1995, and she's made it her mission to raise awareness about missing children. Colleen says it's important for Hannah to know she's not in any trouble.
Anyone who knows her or might know where she is, we would love for them to pass that message along that we want to talk to Hannah and to know that she's okay, that she's safe, and that she has the resources that she needs.
Meanwhile, the family has been in direct contact with Jackson County authorities and state police, and they just want answers.
I'm not going to try to force her to come home. I just need to know she's okay. I just need to know she's alive. She's not being held against her will.
And that we love her.
And that we love her.
And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Lori Horton is back in the studio showing us her recipe for ice cream cake. We'll be right back. Time now, 7:07. But first, here's a live look from the Pittsburg State University campus. Welcome back this morning. Lori has been showing us her recipe for an ice cream cake. So talk to me about what we've already done and what's next, Lori.
Okay, so we got our batter all mixed up, and just want to point out the reason that we're baking with ice cream.
Sure.
So a lot of people may have kind of glanced at that recipe and thought, where does the ice cream go? Essentially, what we're doing is we're making use of the ice cream ingredients. So what's in ice cream? Eggs, milk, sugar.
Lots of sugar, yep.
Lots of sugar. So we've got our fats, we've got our dairy,
Right.
and we've got our eggs.
Okay.
So by just melting that ice cream and using it, instead of measuring those ingredients, we've added them into our cake batter.
Wonderful.
And what we end up with by just doing that with some flour and some leaveners is we just ended up with a really nice, almost kind of a pound cake
There you
type
go.
of a thing. What's cool is we can really customize it with the flavor of our ice cream.
Right.
So I've got one here that I made last night that I started with a cherry vanilla ice cream, and I
delicious.
added some sliced almonds to that because that just goes great together. This one is a coffee flavored ice cream, and I added to that some espresso chips, just some of those kind of cappuccino flavored, excuse me, chips in that. So you can kind of put whatever mix-ins that you want
creative,
to.
yeah,
and really let the kids get involved. With the vanilla that we mixed up earlier, I just added some colorful sprinkles in.
How
with
fun,
that.
yeah.
So nothing too crazy on that one. But I just want to point out that one, these are a smaller loaf pan. These are the 8x4 loaf pans. So if you want to make a larger one, you're going to want to double that recipe, or even marble a couple flavors together would be fun. Mix up 2 separate batters and kind of put them in the larger pan. But these are such a perfect size for gifting and just making those nice little displays of slices. So what you want to see though is without that leavener in the flour, if we just use regular flour, that's not going to go anywhere. We have to add that baking powder and salt or use the self-rising flour, because you'll see the difference in, I know it's a little bit hard to tell. If I keep them down, you can kind of tell the levels in that batter. It does bake up nicely and really fill that pan. So we put that in there. I know on our recipe that you're going to look up later on KOAMnewsnow.com, you're going to see a baking time of about 35 to 45 minutes. In the aluminum pans, I will say they bake a little bit quicker too. I baked these last night at about spot on 30 minutes. And they were about exactly right. So just kind of use your guide. It's always best to do a little less. You can always add more, but kind of once they're overbaked, they're overbaked. So when you get that nice little golden top to them and they lose that sort of jiggliness to that, you can test it with a skewer or a toothpick, anything that you have like that. But the finish on there when we come back, just to give it that little extra layer of sweetness and goodness, is we're going to make a very simple glaze. And then we'll slice these out so you can kind of see the texture and the difference on that.
Wonderful. Sounds great, Lori. Thanks. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Lori Horton, who's been showing us her recipe for an ice cream cake. Oh, we've got the final touches right here. Lori, what's that?
We've got the final touches. This is just that little extra, you know, this is really good as it is, but as you guys know, I never can leave well enough alone. So a very simple powdered sugar glaze on the top of this really sets it off. And again, gives you that little opportunity to add some extra flavor boost to it. I've just made a simple one to put on all of my flavors, but if I were just doing these cherry almond, I could put a little almond extract in that. Maybe if we did some lemon, add a little lemon zest, a little lemon extract. Don't be afraid to toy with it a little bit. All this is about a cup of powdered sugar and then a few tablespoons of whole milk. So always work with the highest fat ingredients. I know it's not health food. We're not trying to pretend like it is, but they really come out the best. They mix the best in that. You need that high fat. So don't use the skim milk, get the whole milk, or use heavy whipping cream even, half and half. And then I just added a little splash of vanilla to that. So what we want to end up with is a really nice, you can see that just really runs off of our spatula, nice and creamy. And what I did on my nice cooled loaf here is I just took a skewer and I poked a few holes along the top so that we give that an opportunity to kind of soak into our cake a little bit. Now that's personal preference. If you want just a little bit on top, the espresso one that I did, I just put a little bit on the top. I didn't poke those holes in it. So it's just going to give us a little bit of sweetness without kind of going into the cake. So we let that set, and again, these pans are perfect because most of the time they're going to come with those little plastic covers on them to make an easy little gift for those new teachers or new neighbors. It's such a good time of year. I will point out that when you do put this batter into the pan, it's pretty thick. Okay. So you want to press it down really lightly, and I'll show you what happened. We'll pretend like I did this on purpose to give you an example. If you don't get it pressed down really well, what you can get are little air pockets in the middle, and then you get a little hole in there. It still tastes delicious, but when you cut it, you get
or anything. It's just a
it
little
won't
hole.
make any difference. It's just a little place to see through the center.
That's a great tip, though. I can see it's like really dense in there.
It's very dense. So just
out.
take a spatula, maybe an angled spatula or a knife, and just really kind of press that down into your container. Now, I sprayed my container as well before I put that batter in there. Just makes it a little easier obviously,
Of
to
course.
get out, especially if you're going to take it and maybe slice it and put it on a platter instead of just gifting it to kind of, maybe munch on out of the pan. But with our slice here that doesn't have that gap in the middle, you can tell this is a very like pound cake texture,
yes.
really nice, so moist and soft. It just gives you a beautiful texture to it, and you can add, again, whatever mixings that you want to. Craisins are really good in some of those if you like that little bit of a bite
Sure.
with it.
Absolutely.
Blueberries with lemon. Say, just get creative and really customize this for your own tastes.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
They really
Super
are.
fun. Well, Lori, as always, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Chris is back with a look at your forecast right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 7:22 now on this Monday morning, and we do have the Skywatch Storm Tracker up because out to our west, we have these little pop-up storms that have begun developing around the Wichita area. They are part of this complex of storms. They're just kind of building off the outflow from those storms. Now, right now, they're barely moving. They're attempting to move a little east-southeast, but again, if you look at the loop here, you can see they're not really doing much, but we'll keep an eye on them because, man, this morning is full of meteorological wonders that we get to go over with you. These storms, for example, are not showing up on the forecast data. So technically speaking, they should not be there, but they are. So we'll see. Like I said, they're trying to move east. And if you look close enough, this one, it's moving kind of east-southeast, but it's moving at like 5 miles an hour. So we'll have to see what they do, see if they maybe make it in to some of our far western counties out there. And we'll monitor those. And then the other meteorological wonder that we have is what's could take place overnight tonight. We're going to have into the afternoon. One thing we're looking pretty good on is partly cloudy skies by this afternoon and perhaps an isolated pop-up shower or storm west of the US 69, or sorry, east of the I-49 corridor. I have no idea where that came from, but east of the I-49 corridor. We could get one anywhere, but slightly better chances here. Now, this is one computer model that believes we could get some storms overnight tonight into tomorrow morning from some severe thunderstorms that are expected well off to our north. So no severe weather for us, but we could get an outflow boundary, and that would help trigger new storms, kind of like what we're seeing around the Wichita area, that could push in overnight tonight. Now, right now, we are not putting any rain chances in for the overnight hours, and I'm going to tell you why. Because at this time, this is the only computer model that thinks we could get these storms early tomorrow morning. You can see even an outflow boundary being pushed to the southwest off of these storms by tomorrow morning. They continue, at least based on this computer data, through the first half of Tuesday. Then we switch to isolated to pop-up storms. Now, the pop-up storms, scattered storms, they do look likely. But then the same one, and again, it's the only one, seems to think around 3, 4 o'clock we get another round of widely scattered showers and storms trying to push through the area, and then they start to kind of fizzle out as they dive southeast. But this is a big if it will play out like that. We're looking at scattered storms tomorrow, but maybe not as impressive as what Future Track is thinking. You see how they disappear too early to Wednesday morning? That is because that particular computer model only goes so far, and then it stops. It's a short-range one, but that is its best guesstimate on some storm chances. But the reason they disappear is the other computer model we have here that goes a little further out is not picking up on those same rain chances. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out, but we could possibly have some early morning storms tomorrow. If anything changes, the other computer data kind of jives and says, you know what, we also think it's going to storm, we'll update our forecast accordingly. But right now, it's just that one that thinks it is. But at the same time, in the past, we've seen where just that one has been right. So we'll see how it plays out. But be prepared for the possibility of some rain tomorrow morning, but it is a low chance right now. Heat index values, though, and this is not a low chance. We're still up to 105 today, maybe a little higher. Same as we head into our Tuesday. Still near 100, maybe a degree or two greater on Wednesday, but our temperatures begin to fall back Wednesday into Thursday, and so our heat index value is still muggy Thursday, but now we're below 100 for those heat index values, which is certainly some great news. Heat advisories for some of us at least continue through 8 this evening, and even if you're not under a heat advisory, it doesn't mean that it's not still dangerous heat. And we've got all of our extreme heat safety tips on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Clear skies this morning is what's expected. Near 80 by 8, low 90s by 11. Our highs today near 100. Same tomorrow. We're looking at least at the upper 90s, mid 70s tonight. And once we get into the second half of this week, our temperatures drop a bit, closer to normal and maybe even a little below normal in some cases. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. I'm Elise Snowy. Fort Scott Community College kicked off with their welcome week yesterday. This week's events began with a cookout outside the Ellis Fine Arts Center, and orientation for students took place as well.
I would say to reach out to as many people as you can and make friends. Just go to every activity and sporting event to make more memories.
Events continue for students all throughout the week, including a movie night and game night. And of course, now you can stay up to date with the latest news, weather, and sports with the KOAM Plus TV streaming app. It's available on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV Plus, and Roku. The player is also available on our news and weather apps as well as our website. Watch live streaming anytime, absolutely free. The Stone County Fire Protection District used an underwater drone to help recover a teenager who drowned in Table Rock Lake on Thursday. Emma McDarris has more.
The underwater drone used by the Stone County Fire Protection District can show recovery teams what's below the water, take photos and video. The drone can also dive up to 300 feet, which means it can search the bottom of Table Rock Lake at any depth.
We got the drone, I'm trying to remember if it was last year or the year before, and what we got it for was specifically for looking for victims under the water. That was really the intent of why we got it, to take that risk out for divers.
Docks like these can be extremely dangerous to divers, as there might be loose cable or debris that's not been thrown away properly that could entrap a diver. This is why this past Thursday they used the underwater drone to pinpoint where the victim was so divers could go get him. The 16-year-old was playing at the Babe Ruth World Series at Show Me Baseball Parks, and when I reached out to them about the situation, they said they are deeply saddened by his loss, and they, as well as league officials, are working on how to support and comfort the Panama team and their families during this time.
This recovery system can speed up the process of finding victims, which is why Stone County Fire is encouraging more of its team to learn how to operate the drone.
We're trying to encourage anybody that's part of our Marine Division team to learn how to do it, and the best way we found is just put it in the water and use it.
And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get those severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. Let's head over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got clear skies from downtown Pittsburgh. Looking back to the southeast, temperatures, of course, already above normal this morning. And a look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Looking good as well. You can see the sunshine out there. Here's Skywatch Storm Tracker. So we're just keeping a small eye on these showers and storms. There are pop-up storms here around the Wichita area and points north. They are not showing up on some of the computer model data, so technically, and going by all the rules, they should not be there this morning, but they are. They're trying to move east-southeast, but they are doing so at an extraordinarily slow pace, and odds of them actually making it into our area are very low, but they're being fed off of this line of storms that's off to the north here, and that's going to stay to our north of I-70, but we'll watch those just to see for sure what happens with them. But again, not expecting really anything out there from that activity. Heat advisories continue through 8 this evening for the counties in orange. But even if you're not under a heat advisory, it does not mean that the dangerous heat has suddenly gone away. We're just getting past that point. We're going to start winding down from the heat over the next couple of days, which will be nice. We could have an isolated pop-up storm or two, mainly east of I-49 between about 2 and 6. Could we get 1 or 2 outside of that zone? Of course we could, but the slightly better chances are going to be to the east this afternoon. We're already at 75 in Joplin, 74 in Pittsburgh this morning, and across the area we should be about 69, 70 for our lows. We are above that. 71 in Sedan, that's the cool spot this morning. Fort Scott, the warm spot at 78. The rest of us hovering right in the low to mid 70s this morning. Eventually mid 80s by 9, mid 90s by noon. Our highs today, upper 90s near 100. Heat index values today up to 105, and southwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Again, it's going to be hot tomorrow, even though our heat advisories are expiring this evening, and then we'll start to get some relief from the heat and maybe some additional rain chances. Let's go over those details with you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks. Well, corn farmers in Kansas say that 2025 is shaping up to be a record year for their crop. Sophia Gernerdander spoke with farmers on what has made this year such a good one.
With the corn harvest approaching, farmers are starting to look at their crop. Doug Hiskin lives in Belle Plaine and has been farming for 40 years. But he says he's never seen a corn crop like this one.
Well, it's probably going to be the best crop ever.
The good news is a result of the heavy rains this spring and summer. While the rain did negatively affect other crops such as wheat, for the corn it was perfect timing.
With the corn, we were able to get it all done when it needed to be, and then the rain came at the different stages of growth. It just came at the right time for it.
Usually they're aiming for 100 bushels, but this year
we could be in the 150 range.
The rain wasn't a blessing for everyone. In Wellington, several farmers say they've had no crop at all due to not being able to plant.
They had in the 45, 47 inches of rain since Memorial Day, and we've only had like 35.
Hiskin also says he's worried about tariffs. While he says he supports them, he hopes the pause on tariffs will be extended past the harvest.
Mexico is one of our lead purchasers of corn. I think they're our largest export destination.
But overall, Hiskin is optimistic because while there were heavy rains, it resulted in a record year for corn. And he says he's looking forward to the harvest.
But this is probably going to be the best year because the rains were extremely timely, even though there was a lot of it, but it was always timely for the corn.
And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Musicians in London are turning produce into performances. We'll be right back. Time now, 7:36. But first, here's a live look from the campus of Pittsburgh State University. In Consumer Watch, Android's Google Play Store rival is set to officially shut down soon. The Amazon App Store will stop operating on Android devices on Wednesday. The company made the announcement back in February. Amazon says the App Store will still be available on Fire TV and Fire tablet devices. Amazon also says the reason for the move is to focus on the App Store experience on its own devices because most of their customers use it there. Android users who have Amazon coins will be refunded, and more information will be shared at a later date. Well, friendships may be hurting younger generations' wallets. A new survey conducted by Ally Bank found that 44% of Gen Z and millennials say they've skipped big social events with friends because of costs. Now, the survey also found that 42% of participants say they paid more than expected on activities with friends, while 18% say they've spent over their budget every other month. Almost 20% of participants say there are times when they felt like they couldn't be open with their finances with friends. Well, travelers, get ready for a faster airport experience. TSA introduces TSA PreCheck touchless ID at select airports using facial recognition technology for secure check-ins. This feature allows travelers to bypass ID and boarding pass checks, offering a separate lane from regular TSA PreCheck. Currently available at 15 major airports, including New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. A new traveling trend is gaining traction this fall as more people are choosing to vacation later in the year. Fox correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
Travelers across the U.S. are now opting to travel more during the fall season than in the summer. Luxury travel company Virtuoso says they are seeing a 12% surge in bookings and reservations for the fall compared to this time last year. Travel expert Misty Bell says people are choosing autumn in order to have a more stress-free experience when they fly.
And fall, which used to be considered a shoulder season, it was really a quieter time, is now really a peak travel period, especially for high-end travelers, as they're looking to beat crowds and head off to places where the temperatures are a little bit cooler, we're really seeing fall bookings and sales up.
And Americans aren't just traveling later in the year, they are traveling more frequently. In their research, Virtuoso found that 39% of people are planning to travel more in 2025.
So for the fall, we're seeing domestic travel continues to be very strong. I have to say, for Virtuoso, the U.S. is always our top destination, but that is followed closely by a lot of the European favorites as well. So we're seeing that Italy, France, the UK, Greece, Portugal, those are all doing very well for fall.
Specialists recommend that if you are planning to travel internationally, it's best to make sure you have all the necessary documents required for that destination. And when it comes to domestic trips, don't forget your passport if you don't have a real ID. That will help you avoid facing additional screenings at the airport. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:44 on this Monday morning. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we do have some pop-up showers out around the Wichita-Hutchinson area. These are not really moving all that much. They were moving east-southeast, but they seem to be changing course. The only reason they are there is they are forming off of this activity. In fact, if you look right there, you can see one of the outflow boundaries off of this line of storms. Now, that line of storms should stay off to our north. In fact, should stay north of I-70, but we'll watch the other ones around Wichita because they might, and I really want to emphasize that because you can see they're not doing all that well on their own. They might try and make it into parts of, say, Elk, Greenwood counties, maybe Chautauqua County, but that's really not an expectation. But at the same time, the computer data didn't show those little pop-up storms, and that's the nature of pop-up storms. So they really just flare up and then they die back out. So might get a stray shower or two in our far western counties. That's really going to be about it. Afternoon, though, we go partly cloudy. And then along and east of I-49, we have slightly better chances for some pop-up storms. Could we get some outside of that? Of course, but the better chances are going to be east of I-49 into the afternoon. Now, here's the other thing of where it gets interesting. Like I said, the little pop-up storms out there around Wichita, not showing up on the computer data this morning. In fact, I keep updating it, and it's still not showing up. However, we have one computer model that suggests we might get some showers and storms overnight tonight. Here's what it looks like. By 3 a.m., we got some scattered showers pushing into our far northern counties. What we've got is what we've had really the last several weeks is severe weather off to our north. But this model thinks that some of those storms, you can see even an outflow boundary coming off of those, which very rarely does an outflow boundary show up on Future Track. It's suggesting that these storms will kind of flare up ahead of those storms. Nothing severe expected if we get them, but they'll be here very early tomorrow morning. So for some kids going back to school, might need that umbrella. But I'll be honest with you right now, this is the only one that's suggesting that. So we're keeping the rain chances out of our overnight forecast. Now, if the other computer models begin to kind of hint that that's going to be a possibility of some showers overnight tonight, we will, of course, update accordingly. But right now, only one of these is showing these showers and storms as we head into the first half of our Tuesday. Now, on the other hand, something to keep in mind, too. We've also run across where sometimes it's that one that's been right, and all the others that said no rain were wrong. So we'll see how it plays out. But we will then have some isolated scattered storms into the afternoon. That same computer data, though, suggesting another round of more scattered showers and storms pushes in after 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. Again, this is a big if. We are looking at scattered storms tomorrow, but maybe not as robust or as widespread as what you're seeing right there. And then see how that disappears. It's because that one computer model only goes so far out. It's very short term. And so that's why it updates every hour as well. So we'll see how that pans out. We go into our Wednesday afternoon, we'll have another opportunity for some isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms out there as well. Heat index values today still up to 105, maybe a little higher than that, some of our western counties. It'll be the same on Tuesday, still up to about 105, maybe a degree or two warmer out there. And then by Wednesday, we start to see slight improvements. Heat index values about 100 to 105. So again, a little bit better, but by Thursday, much better. Heat index values expected to remain below 100. Still muggy though. And of course, with the heat, We have the heat advisories through 8 this evening. All of these run through 8 this evening. And even if you're not under a heat advisory today, or if these aren't reissued for tomorrow, we still have that potential for dangerous heat. And of course, heat safety tips on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/forecast. All right, expecting clear skies through the morning, about 80 by 8, low 90s by 11 o'clock this morning. Our highs today, upper 90s near 100, and that'll be the case again tomorrow. Scattered storms from today through Wednesday. By Wednesday, a little cooler. Thursday, cooler yet, at least compared to where we have been. Temperatures dropping back near or even slightly below normal by the second half of this week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, some musicians are rethinking how music is made by digging deep for instruments that produce a homegrown sound.
Tina Kraus has the story from London.
It's nearly showtime at this park in the British capital.
I'll do it gradually in case the carrot splits.
And musicians Simon and Patrick are busy fine-tuning their instruments.
I need to make it as much like a trombone mouthpiece as I can.
Hollowing their way to harmony. With every sound powered by produce. They call themselves London's Vegetable Orchestra, a surprising symphony made entirely from fruits and veggies.
We heard the noise and thought, what's that? And then realised, gosh, it's vegetables. And how clever are they?
They play a mouth-watering medley of classics and crowd pleasers.
Suddenly this guy took a carrot out and started playing.
And they're enjoying a surge in popularity this year after a viral royal performance with King Charles at Buckingham Palace.
We presented him with a carrot recorder, which we've made specially for him. And we were told, don't ask him to play it. So we said, would you like to play it? And bless him, he did. And he had a big smile on his face, took his carrot with him. And yeah, a good time was had by all.
Their inspiration sprouted from the Vegetable Orchestra in Vienna, the produce pioneers in Austria, who first turned the garden into a stage. But London's ensemble isn't out to squash the competition, just to make music that's truly homegrown.
And those veggie vibes aren't just overseas. New York's Long Island's Vegetable Orchestra has been turning up the beat for more than a decade.
That is
wow.
Interesting to say the least. Interesting indeed.
Yeah. Not for everyone.
No,
but,
not quite for everyone, but
sustainable instruments.
Certainly, and then you can eat them when you're done.
There you go.
All right, let's take a more quick look. Skywatch Storm Tracker got some scattered storms out around Wichita. They are expected to remain to our west, but there's at least a slight chance they might try and push in to say Elk, Greenwood, maybe Chautauqua counties out there. Otherwise, we'll have those pop-up storm chances. Those will start building between 2 and 6. Better chances along and east of I-49, but we could really get a pop-up storm just about anywhere. Another look at your forecast and your wake-up recap right after this.
Well, this is your wake-up recap for August 18th. Top stories to start your day. Well, the Kids City Museum in Joplin, which opened just a few weeks ago, hosted a successful back-to-school event over the weekend. This indoor playground offers exciting STEM activities for kids, including slime making. Teachers enjoyed free entry with a photo ID. Port Scott Community College kicked off the school year with Welcome Week. Events began with a cookout outside the Ellis Fine Arts Center and student orientation. Exciting activities and continue all week, including a movie night and a game night. And Professor Christine Bentley from Missouri Southern shares that international studies majors will dive into West African culture this semester through unique objects in the Cragen Gallery. Now, these 300 pieces donated by the Finley family and Marion Keenan showcase African occupations, figures, and power and female medical missionaries. High school students visiting will also engage in collection care reports, enhancing their learning experience. And that's a check of today's Wake Up Recap.
And again, heat advisories for some of us, through 8 this evening. Highs today near 100. Isolated pop-up storms between 2 and 6. Better chances east of I-49. And our heat index values today up to 105. Mostly clear through the evening and overnight, mid-70s. We do have that slight chance of a storm, which we'll continue to monitor, but right now that chance is very low. We'll have scattered storms tomorrow through Wednesday. Still hot tomorrow and still a bit toasty on Wednesday. Temperatures, though, for the second half of this week falling back near or even slightly below average.
All right, well, move over Kentucky Derby. there's a new favorite race going on in Minnesota. Cute butts and foxy faces. You heard that right. The Corgi races returned to Canterbury Park yesterday.
72 dogs competed between horse races. Top dogs will race again on August 31st at the Best in Show Championships. And of all the things you've said, reading the news, I have a weird feeling that first phrase there was not something you anticipated getting to say on TV.
No. Read ahead sometimes, folks. It'll help.
You never know.
You heard it right.
Yeah. Cute,
you know
cute,
what?
cute butts and
they
foxy faces.
This
I mean,
script
yeah,
wasn't
they are
wrong.
corgis.
Cute
They are
pups.
adorable. But all right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.